The entity is sounding helicopter activity. In the specific environment, engage in ongoing stalking and communication of a threat. Using helicopters to engage in relevant positioning. Here's the light source right over me. It is currently 10:29 a.m. and monitoring on the communication device is Carlo Lopez of Speaker Companies, and that message is sent and the entity is monitoring on the communication device. LAPD is sounding helicopter activity. Well, it's amplified, sounding as though it's coming over there, but when it's amplified, you're talking about surrounding with the sound. This is the same entity that flew for 47 minutes. This is a concerted conduct. That's called impunity. She's under a light source. That's not the sun. That's over Starbucks. Remember that in Ontario, California. That's LAPD that flew for 47 minutes in relevant position. They're not doing anything other than stalking. All right, they exhibited that. And also, they're not doing anything other than stalking and surveillance in the specific environment where the sun is not, it's not possibly present. Not only because it's documented in an entirely different location, but because it's here from the beginning to the end of the day. This is the outward demonstration of demon possession, and demons are exceedingly hostile to their being exposed, and also to the fact their lawlessness being exposed as well. So this is what the LAPD is exhibiting, and that's why it's going to be met with what is disbanding. This is intolerable in the United States. They know that the video of them stalking and engaging in psychological torture of an American citizen who's exposing it for 47 minutes. They know that it's been exposed that they're under a light source, an engineered light, which is entirely demonic, spreading across my ceiling in my living room and all over my walls, and they're still stalking to date in helicopters, which is the state's pattern of conduct, in conformity to what the Ontario Police Department did, where I was sleeping and remaining, including in a vehicle, and doing so for 20 plus minutes. That the entity is engaging in what is a pattern of stalking, engaging in surveillance, and these are demons flying in circles. These are dizzy, demon-possessed minions, and they will be removed from their positions with the Los Angeles Police Department, wasting resources, by the way, using helicopters. There are reasons why police departments may be armed with these sort of resources, and it's not to stalk American citizens. And that's also what the federal government needs to be aware of, because these sort of resources need to be removed from the police department's access because of what you are aware of these states are doing. And that's why you're going to remove them from the ability to have this sort of militarization of the police. The police are used as a means to pose the highest threat to American citizens in concert with the people. Because of this matter of public corruption, that sort of resource should be seized from the government, okay? Who is, again, stalking under the light source in relevant position. Everything about their stalking system is underway. The directed light remains, okay? A muted form of the same pattern of conduct is the pattern of conduct. And it's that which is also being documented, and the entity is monitoring that documentation. That was Kumli that was crossing path, and this is Kumli with 1808, that's Jung Pak. All right, they are engaging what is light activity. As you move around in the engineered light, the light that spans across my ceiling, the light that creates what is dynamic flashing light on my walls, the light that creates the patterns of the blinds on the sidewall, that's what they're walking in. All right, and those that are not natural born citizens are going to be deported out of this country. It is currently 10:32 a.m. This is P.O.C. I'm going to continue to list the times that the entity engages. Understand what they're doing. They're stalking 24/7. They're not doing anything, meaning they're not going anywhere. All they're doing is flying around me all day and all night. And it's wild to understand that that's the obsession, but that's the reality. And that's also what the evidence shows. All they're doing is maintaining the elements of monitoring by making their stalking conduct in the helicopter audible, because it doesn't have to be amplified. They're stalking 24/7. They choose points in time to communicate a threat by helicopter. They're maintaining audible activity in a plethora of other ways. Okay, so I want to be clear. I will continue to list because this is the pattern of conduct that's underway in the workplace. All right, all 59 units here systematically engaging in that. You see the entity is acting via Kun Lee. The entity is acting via Jung Pak of 1808, number 1. They are not doing anything. They're not conversing. They're not disinterested or ignorant. You're seeing that same pattern of conduct, and they're walking in the engineered light. Yesterday, you see them pacing around. You see 1806, number 5, Jung Kim, Carlo Lopez of Speaker Companies. You see Yo Kim of 1808, number 2. They're engaging in what is, again, outwardly appearing as though they're not doing anything, and you're seeing the engineered light that's moving all across the apartment of building 1818 and 1816, while the demons of Center for Better Life and Luis Ramos, a demon in the custody of a minor child, engaging in this criminal system. And you see Imiko Nagasako, who came in engaging in that pattern of conduct, just comes onto the grounds to engage in the crime scene, and they're doing the exact thing while they're walking in the engineered light. It's the same pattern of conduct while that same demon-possessed agency is stalking in a helicopter, all right, and they're driving by, and engineered light is moving across a wall. Jung Pak of 1808 number 1 and Kum Lee, who you just saw walking in the engineer light, they're accomplishing the same criminal objective. They're creating light activity as they're walking in the engineer light. What you saw yesterday were demons driving in vehicles and engineer light was moving across the apartment building, which is impossible light activity. It's also impossible light activity because you know the substance of what these third parties are walking in. It's not sunlight. It's not possibly the sun because the entity is maintaining a light source in an entirely different location. That's the significance of documentation. All right. There's no sun that's going to be hovering over the leasing office. No, that's never going to happen when it's remaining over as a matter of documentation at the Ovid Family Community Library as a matter of evidence from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening. And that's a matter of documentation. And the two do not coexist. You're not breaking up what's documentation because the entity is imitating the natural environment. So that suggests that the light source, the sun, is going to be present at that address, visible through the doors and windows of that address until 6 p.m. because that's what the entity did. You can't mimic that. There's only one sun. It's very exclusive. And this is how you are surrounding the government with what is the evidence of its highly malicious criminal system that is necessarily completed with the people of the state. All right. It requires your ignorance in order to engage in this system with regard to understanding the significance of what's happening around you and the ability to understand the pattern because it's also demonic. Okay. So anyway, it's currently 10:36 a.m. and this is P.O.C. This is speaking to, again, that impunity that you see the people of the state exhibiting. Remember, Kum Lee and Jung Pak, they're not acting as individuals. That's the entity that's engaging in impunity, creating light activity around me and in the immediate environment while the entity is stalking in a helicopter. They are jointly posing a threat in the same way that same police department, okay, on video, stalking, demonstrating demon possession. Also, the fact that they're psychotic, flying in a circle for no reason other than to bother someone else that has identified the fact that flying in a circle is the outward demonstration of demon possession. Those demons know that, and so they did it for 47 minutes, okay? So anyway, and they're also doing it in the specific environment. That's speaking to what, you know exactly what I said about you, and then you did it for 47 minutes as though anyone is ever going, no one's going to look at that. No one's going to ever reasonably look at that as being harmless. The police departments, the demon possessed, they can't just do whatever they want, and that's what this corrupt government has been doing. No, you cannot just do whatever you want and just fly in circles around people all day long. That's called stalking. And it's also psychological torture when you're placing somebody under surveillance. And you also do that in a very specific environment. Demons do that. Okay. It's currently 10:37 a.m. This is P.O.C.